Hey, welcome to Huddle Up. We're back, and we got a great show tonight. With us always, Rob Clark. Hey, Rob, how's it going, man? My
Hey,
quarterback.
Brett.
And with us, our guest tonight, Steve Dolbin, my teammate from 1981, 82. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, friend Rob. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah,
Steve,
man, we're
welcome.
glad to have you. Yeah, there's so much history here that we're going to go over, so hopefully this isn't a 5-hour episode, but we'll see how it
Oh,
goes. Now, I
jeez.
think I'm going to start off with, before we get into the football stuff, let's talk about your dad. And
Yeah.
everybody talks about, Coach Dolbin from those years, the late 60s, early 70s. Just what a part of the institution he was, your dad.
Oh, yeah.
And, what was it like? I know we've all run into your dad a few times for various reasons, but what was it like growing up under your dad, going out on
Uh,
the field? I know you were always involved in football.
yeah. I mean, I don't remember. He was at Westchester and everything at Westchester, and then he met my mother up in Mount Union where he was the coach there at Captain Jack, and then they moved and he was at John Harris when they had those incredible teams he had.
Yeah.
And then he handed it off to George Chomp, and of course that George went on to greatness.
Yeah.
And Dr. Severs knew him when he student taught or was at Cumberland Valley for like one semester. And he just was like, boy, if I can get Dave Dolbin here to Ship, it's going to be really a good thing. And, not just as a football coach, but just as a person, just the way he was. So that's how we got to Ship. I think I was 3 and my sister was 1, it was, and I just grew up on the campus and it just naturally, we were going to practice in a practice field is at Henderson and down at Eccles Field. That's where they did most of the practice.
Eccles Field. I don't even know if anybody knows where Eccles Field is anymore.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Younger people wouldn't.
And as far as him, I get such a kick out of people coming up to me like, "Oh, I had a meeting with your dad, and boy, he straightened me out." And I'm like, "You are telling me? I lived with the guy.
You grew up with
like,
it.
my feet were dangling. Like half the time, he had me up on the wall because you guys know. I mean, I knew what would happen, but I still had to be a smartass.
Sure
I
had to
still
do
had
it.
to test the waters, and I'd be dangling. My mother would be like, Dave, let him go." Here's a quick little story. We had a football player named George Hemp. Hemp Industries. They built
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and George was like 6'6", 325 pounds at least. And he played. He didn't play a lot. And one time I'm standing there and I'm watching. And there's all these legendary stories about how my dad was so strong, and he picked George up by the helmet off the ground. He's like, "Grr," and he's shaking him, and actually George played that weekend and had a pretty good game.
Motivated him.
He was a very strict guy. And of course he was the dean. So, I had to really try to keep my nose clean, not getting you didn't see me. I was pretty trying. I had to behave,
I'll tell you, he was an imposing figure. That dude had a chest, man. He was a big guy.
Oh yeah.
And you could walk into his office and you'd instantly be like, "Oh gosh, this is trouble."
Oh, his role models were now I'm blanking on his name, but he played at Penn State and he was the Westchester coach for years, and he was the dean of men down there.
Wow.
And so my dad, that's what he aspired to. Yeah, but he always was super physical.
Yeah.
He wasn't he could tell great stories, but he wasn't like a talker. Not like me, just going on and on. He just said exactly what he needed to say. And the great thing about him, he was just such a good human being, and he was incredibly fair. I know he would come home and he'd be annoyed at other people at some kind of disciplinary meeting. He's like, they're going on and on. I just want to get this settled and the kid out of there, and the kid knows the limits, and he was, and he had there's some stories. I mean, I remember I witnessed him talking to a kid a kid had a gun, had a pistol up at Old Main, and he was threatening to kill himself. And my dad went out and talked to him and took the gun out of his hand, and all kinds of stories like that.
tremendous responsibility in that position that he had, dean of men. I mean, that was huge.
One of the things that people don't realize in those days, the dean of students, the dean of men or the dean of women, I'm not sure how long it lasted into dean of students because they changed, but you actually became the legal guardian of the kid that came into school. So my dad was down bailing kids out, getting kids all the time.
Wow.
And it was crazy. And my mother was like, what are you doing? You know, you're responsible. And here's a sad note. I remember one time, and I was actually there at practice, and the campus police, there was only 2 guys in those days. You know, I think Skip was the one guy's name. He called me over, and I saw the state police came, and they said, "Can you go out and get your dad, Stevie?" Stevie, that's where Stevie came from. Everybody called me Stevie. So I went out on the field during practice, and I said to my dad, I said, "Come over." And here, one of the guys, one of the players had left the team the week before. He decided he didn't want to play football anymore, and he was killed in a motorcycle accident. And it was really tragic. And my dad was just like, "Oh, if he would have been at practice, he would have been all right." But of course, he had to then go with the police.
Wow.
Yeah, it was huge responsibility.
Yeah. Steve, just to follow up on that first question too, I know you were around the program forever as a youth, you know, with your dad coaching and all, plus just being at the university. You know, who were some of the coaches that really had an impact on you over those years? You know, and maybe even you know, some of the players that you were around.
I mean, it's an incredible list. Jim Perbula was an amazing guy, and you know, he and Dad were like, they had this Westchester thing, right? And I'll tell you what, I mean, I think as a player myself, I never really reacted to that kind of gung ho kind of coaching, and because they were so much like that, you know, and they were so physical. Yeah. They would grab guys and throw them around, you know, stuff that would, you know.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah, wouldn't float today.
Oh, man. Jim Perbula. Of course, Raleigh was there real early.
Yep.
Donnie Miller. Oh, what an amazing, wonderful person that he was. And then he was a swim coach there for years. Art Fairchild. You know, Art was great, and I grew up with his kids. They were younger than me, and the Perbula kids. You know, I knew them and followed them, and still follow Bo. Right?
Oh yeah. That's a good story.
Yeah, Coach Corman and his sons, and I wrestled for a couple of years at Ship, but I had to make a decision one way or the other because I had bunch of health issues. Actually, not a lot of people knew about really, but you know, I knew my dad, but I knew which direction I had to choose.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And I'm trying to think of some of the other folks, some of the professors on campus too. I mean, I knew Gil Severs. I even knew Hikus, Ralph Hikus, when I was a kid.
Wow.
When we came, this is a funny story. They interviewed my mom to be a nurse in the health center, which was in Old Main. It was like a really tiny little place. So she got the job. She says that's why Dad got his job, because they could have her. and Hikus was like, all the women had to wear skirts. Everybody had to wear a tie to dinner, and they expected that of the faculty. And I remember you weren't allowed to drink on campus, even if you were faculty. And my dad, of course, what? I mean, his main interest, seriously, guys, football, beer, and fishing. That was his life. So we always had an old refrigerator stowed somewhere, just packed with beer. We had to take the empties. I remember my mom packing the empties in a paper bag and sneaking them off campus like a kid.
Like one of the students, like one of the college students.
Yeah, exactly. You know, of course, when Hikus then, you know, retired from things, that it all changed, you know. Yeah.
I just think it's funny, you know, everybody who's got a building named after him.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Every name you mentioned, yeah.
Oh, well, you know, Henderson, the women's main headquarters was Hikus.
Yeah.
And then they switched it over to Hikus Fieldhouse.
They built it.
Which is, you know, they kind of think you could do that today. Could get away with it today. And actually, this is funny. I mean, you guys, we moved from our big art studio, Robin's art studio, and our house and all that. And Brand's been there. We moved to this little place, and I look out my window at Henderson Field.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I started crying when I first came here because I really didn't want to stay. I didn't really want to stay in town, to tell you the truth. Oh, we need to move somewhere else. But yeah, I looked out the window. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, crazy.
Nice.
Nice.
And Steve, as you transitioned into playing football at Ship, what was the path that led you there? You know, obviously you played high school ball. Like, you probably didn't get recruited like other students or other kids just because of your dad's affiliation with Ship.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was really lucky. I kind of, I blossomed pretty well. I played right away at the high school when I was. They brought me up from ninth grade to wrestle, but to play football, I started as we lost every game. We had but we won every JV game my sophomore year, right? And then our junior year, we had a pretty good team. Steve Kramer, amazing player. Fran, I remember him.
Oh yeah.
He could have played anywhere. Very hometown guy, though. He didn't really want to go anywhere. And I know he had offers from Penn State and different places. And we were really good friends, In fact, we used to, when I played there, we always roomed together until I was there another year after him. And but it was just expected that I'd play football. There was no, I think one time in like 8th grade, I came home and I was like, man, this is brutal. Mom's like, well, you disappoint your daddy. Okay. So I especially my senior year, had a really great year. I actually had quite a bit of Division I interest. And this is a funny story. So I'm getting kind of cocky, and I was a really bad student. I just would do, first of all, I'm dyslexic, ADHD, you name it, I got it, right? And in those days, you were on your own.
It was
just a kid.
Yeah, so I just deflect by making jokes or whatever. Now, there were certain things I liked, art classes, history classes, psychology classes. But so I don't know what I was doing one day. I was kind of being cocky, and my dad said, "You're not going anywhere." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" I got a letter from so-and-so, he's like, "Your grades are so bad. You can't." So he goes, "You're going to Fork Union Military Academy in Virginia." So they gave me a scholarship. Of course, that's what they do. They bring all these kids in who have whatever issues, grades, or they want to mature another year or whatever, which was a good thing, because all we did was, it was really Spartan, though. It was really a brutal place. I graduated, not a single demerit, 4.0, whatever, because all you did was study and play football. Mm-hmm. And it was, I'll tell you, I think I was probably clinically depressed the whole time I was there.
Jeez.
And the other thing that I had there that I didn't realize, I'd had issues with this tumor in my neck when I was in high school, like my junior year, and I had an operation. I thought that was the end of it. And then when I went to Fork Union, this thing came back. And like the whole time I was there, I didn't really realize, but I was kind of sick the whole time I was there. And then I had another operation before that, at the end of Fork Union. And my dad, I was pretty sick. And my dad's like, why don't you come to Ship? Because I'd gotten I actually coached Chuck Run at Penn State, because my dad knew Paterno and, knew all these coaches. And he was nice enough. He wrote me a little dear Steve letter, like, we gave your scholarship to somebody else, but if you get better, you can walk on. And I'm like, oh man, I was so depressed. And then Dad's like, and then Steve Kramer and actually Dave Freeze and those guys were all coming. So they're like, and I blocked for Dave Freeze all through, because I was offensive and a defensive player. And I was an offensive player actually at Fork Union. And I'm like, this is a no-brainer. I'm going here, and then I get myself better and more healthy, and then it was great. Now Fran knows this. We played offensive line, I think, our freshman year together. But then Coach Mark wanted to be, but here I'm just, I don't know my right from my left. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and it's a pretty I'm not smart like, some of you other guys,
I'm not,
I'm the artist, right? So I need to feel it, So I wanted to be a defensive player, and Coach Mark was insistent. So it was kind of good that Regazzo came. I loved Coach Mark though, amazing guy. He came and said, Stevie, come to Ship. I really want you to come, and he was such a gentleman, and
Oh yeah.
And he put everything together, and then but Regazzo was like, okay, Raleigh, take him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take him to defense, But
it worked out nicely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and I mean that 81 team. I mean that you were a part of that defensive front, which was, and I don't think back in those days because I was an offensive guy.
Right.
You guys shut everybody down. It's amazing the few points you guys gave up. Talk about the playing days. What are some of your highlights that you remember from those?
Man, I was really, this is kind of this, I'm getting off subject a little bit, but I started as a sophomore, me and Mike Maxwell, and I had an okay season. I think I led the defense lineman in sacks. But then my junior year, man, I actually got this knee replaced, recently. And that junior year, spring before that, I think it was Oshansky. Somebody chop blocked me, and I'd like to know, but and now I am 40
well, he's
years
off the grid, so we'll never know.
Yeah, right. We'll never know. So I think that's the suspect. But so then I didn't play. I went in a lot, but I didn't play as steady as I did. But then that senior year, and actually I was struggling. I was trying to find myself academically. I was actually pretty good academically, but as far as an artist, and what I wanted to do. Did I want to teach? Did I want to whatever? And so I even thought about leaving. I was like, like I'm trying to do this, and I need to transfer down to Kutztown to get in the art education.
Yeah.
And a couple of guys, George Wise, Joe Pizicki, they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, and I was Raleigh and I were struggling, like, I mean, and I'll tell you, and Raleigh's like my second father, but that was that was tough because
he was brutal.
He treated me a certain way.
He was rough.
And then, but what was really great, he came to me and he said, Steve, right before 81, he said, hey, I handled you all wrong. I said, we need to all stick together. And I was like, man, I started crying. I was like, I love all the guys. And we were very tight. But George Wise and Joe Pizicki, especially Joe Brown. I mean, all the guys. And then I think it was a real stroke of genius to rotate people through there.
Well, Joe Brown and I have this conversation all the time. Is that that defense, as stout as it was, undefeated season, shut everyone down. Yeah. Not one defensive lineman made all conference. And Joe and I talk about this. It's like because you guys rotated, nobody had any stats. Nobody had impressive stats because everybody split the duty. And
Can you imagine? I mean, but then that was the key to it. That was really the key. I had 90 some tackles when I was a sophomore, and I don't know how many sacks. But then that year I had 50 tackles. But I had 5 sacks in 81. But so what? It's the shit. And it's the thing we was trying to tell the kids over here, because of this portal thing. You got to start thinking, not thinking individually, thinking about how are you going to win the championships. So any one of us could have been all conference.
No, I agree. I went against you guys every day, and it was just like, we always talk about iron sharpens iron, and everybody on that front was tough. And
you guys, I mean, everybody was so solid. I mean, I remember we're like, we're good.
I know.
First team going first team
all
man.
Day.
Kind of risky. Oh God, but what great.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
All right, so let's fast forward a little bit. Okay. You eventually become a professor at Shippensburg. At one point, you become the head of the department. Yeah. What was that like, getting to teach at your alma mater in the place, quite frankly, where you grew up?
Yeah. It was an incredible story. I went to Pratt, and and my thing there was, I said, look, I'm an artist, and I want to not only be an art teacher, but I need to take it to the next level. I want to see if I can be an artist in New York. So, and my wife Robin was already working in New York. She's a fabric designer. She was designing fabric for Calvin Klein and Donna Karan, and quite frankly, I thought I better get to New York because I'm going to lose this gal, you know. So I get there, I get accepted to Pratt. I don't know how that happened, and then I get a job right after I got my degree at UConn. So I taught there. Oh, I forget how many, about 6 years there, and then I taught at Amherst College and a couple other places, and then. I stayed home with my two sons when they were born, and I took like a whole almost 2 years where I didn't teach because they were little babies, and Robin had the better job. She had a new job up in New England working for this incredible Italian woolen mill that makes Allura Piano. They're very posh. She used to travel to Italy and everything. So I was the one who could stay at home. But then I got back into it. I started teaching again at Amherst, and then I got through the grapevine that, hey, Dr. Sedia wants to really elevate the art department, and not that I would elevate it, but he wanted to do some new things. They've never had a sculptor, and so I was like, oh, hometown boy is not getting the job. That's just not going to work. So but then people were, oh, you got to apply. And actually I'd been in a lot of searches where I'd come in like second or third at some big places. And, but then there were some other things. I was like, wow, it would be really cool to go back where you came from, because I kind of knew the limits when I was there. Our department was really small and had some great stuff. Bill Hines, who was an amazing professor, my mentor, really, he was still there. And of course, Tony Sedia, I thought, well, if I can get in the top three, I might have a chance. Because Tony, 81 was his first year. We made
That's right.
And I always called him Coach.
Yeah.
Coach Sedia, So anyway, long story short, I got to tell you one little story here. This is funny. So I think Timmy, our quarterback, he was in the elevator in Old Main with Sedia. And Bill Hines gets in the elevator with Sedia. And Sedia goes, hey, Bill, how's Stevie Dolbin doing in the interview process? And Bill goes, well, I can't disclose that information. And Sedia goes, hey, I'm the effing president. What's going on over there?
Exactly.
So anyway, that's a hilarious story. And I think I heard that from Tim. And then this is another funny story. So Tony Winter, you know how Tony, he's just the greatest. And he was one of the greatest colleagues because, we spent a lot of time together here at Ship. He was the associate dean of business department. He would always come and check on me. I'd go over there. He calls me on the phone. And my wife and I, we remodeled this old train station into our studio space and everything. And I remember getting the phone call, and Tony goes, hey man, I'm really sorry for you, brother. I said, it's too bad it didn't happen. But anyway, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then he goes, no, you got it. I heard you got it.
Classic.
I was like, oh, are you kidding me?
Tony.
But Tony,
Typical.
Yeah. So they made the huge change. And, and then I took Robin from, this big Italian fabric company to Shippensburg,
Nice.
But anyway, it all worked out. She's been the director of the Lure Center, for a number of years, and just has that leadership quality. She spent time with the kids when we first came back because she'd not been the person who stayed home a lot. So that was a really wonderful opportunity for her. And she got involved in all kinds of art and community causes when she first came. But and coming back was amazing because I could always say, I'd come in and I'd talk to my classes and I'd go into all this, expertise. I know how to do this and we're going to do that. And we've done this at this university and that university. And then I'd go, hey gang, I went to Ship. And they'd be like, wow. And I'd be like, hey man, yeah, so I'm a Raider. We're all together here. And that was really, I think that really made a difference
Well,
because it
built
wasn't some arrogant artist that comes in from nowhere, you know,
Right.
and it was like, and I, you know, my love for the place was totally sincere.
Oh yeah,
Right.
it's all that family. It's that whole family,
Oh,
you know, and everything is Ship.
absolutely.
You know,
Man.
I ride my bike on the Cumberland Valley Rail Trail a lot, and I come across your artwork all the time as I go along that rail trail. And
Wow.
you got
Know that, friend. Wow.
oh yeah, you got some great stuff. And yeah, what are some of the things you're most proud of? I know you've got a lot out there that's on display in different places, different venues, but
Well, you know, yeah, so many projects, but this in Shippensburg, you know, when Elsie Swenson, who was at one time, she was the first lady of Harrisburg. Harold Swenson was her husband, who was mayor. And she asked me, this was actually before I came back to Ship. Somehow someone said, hey, there's a guy, he's a sculptor. He went to Ship, and she wanted to do some sculptures at the Lours Elementary School. And she contacted me. I had no clue. And I started doing sketches. And then I found out. And when I came down here, it really worked out perfectly, because when I came in as a professor, I hit the ground and I was making the pieces. There's pieces over at the Lours Center, called Creative Tools. It's a giant pair of scissors and a pencil and a paintbrush. And that one's great. My kids went to the elementary school. I mean, I went to the elementary school when I was bowling. So all these weird things that you just grab your heart, you know?
yeah.
And then obviously, you know, when we were playing, I'm pretty sure I was sitting with Steve Kramer on the bus, and we were going to some Western school, as we were always going, you know,
Out west.
Yeah, out west. And I said, you know, we need something that, you know, when we run on the field, we touch it, and you know, every generation of, you know, athletes at Ship, it's going to be something physical, you know. And he was like, yeah, that's a cool idea. And I'd seen other things at other universities, and I you know, I wasn't sure what, and but I approached and this is actually a couple of years before I came back to Ship. I sent a letter to Setia. I came back in 2000. This is probably 97. And I said, hey, I would be willing to come down there. If I can get a big native limestone boulder, I'll do something to it, and we can get it in the stadium. And he loved the idea. Now, I did kind of, you know, I said, well, I think because I don't want it to be some esoteric, strange art piece that nobody understands. So what I wanted to do is I said, I'll take the current logo and I'll make it more like a petroglyph. So I'll change it, I'll simplify it, and I'll carve it into the stone. And we came down, and they had just excavated for a dorm, and they had these big boulders. And I picked one out, and what a process. It was, I forget, 18 tons, I think, and we had to use a big crane. And then what I did is they placed it, and then I carved it in front of everybody for a week. And it was like, I can't F this up. There was air hammers and diamond saws. And I'm just going, oh my God, if I make a mistake.
I was going to say, did you use those tools before? Were you familiar? And
yeah,
you were?
I hadn't used them a lot, though.
Yeah.
That was a big learning curve. I went to the Grounds of Sculpture, which is a place in New Jersey that Seward Johnson had, like a school. And I had actually, when I was in college, I got a scholarship there, but I decided to go to Kutztown and do the art ed thing. But I went there for a stone carving seminar. I'd done it before, but it was a good thing that I did that. I spent like a week there. And then I'd done some smaller pieces, but that was no joke. They had to bring in a huge air compressor, and I had all my tools, and it was a super hot, it was like August. And they put a big tent. They put a big tent over me because I couldn't stand there in the sun and do it. Of course, I had a dust mask. I mean, I'm thinking I'm sweating more now than when I played here. You know, you're covered with the stone dust, and everybody would come out and watch.
Sure.
Like, oh, we're going over to watch him today. And I had all these faculty and administrators and coaches, and it was really, and that's that piece for me. I think sculpture of course, I do indoor shows with wall pieces, and I taught drawing and painting and you name it. But a public artwork for me is you need to touch it. You need to interact with it. It's a sculpture is like you are. It's a three-dimensional thing in your space. And so that piece, to know that generations of kids have touched that stone, and not only the football team, women's track, anybody who uses the stadium. It's kind of a little bit, I guess I'm getting a little aloof and saying it's kind of like our Nittany Lion, but it's a little bit like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and generations of Red Raiders have touched that stone.
Oh,
it's a big deal. Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I wish we would have had it. Yeah, I was there just a few years after you, so I wish we would have had something like that. We didn't. So thank you for putting that there.
But boy, every time I go to a game or, it's just like, wow, it's exactly what I envisioned is happening. And it's going to be way after I'm gone, which is,
yeah. That's the last shot that we use on our intro to this show is the guys touching the stone.
Oh, yep.
And
it's that significant.
Yeah.
And before I forget, I do want to drop some names of some players like Ryan Hoffman, who was a great player at Ship, huge kid. Just when he showed up at my door in the art department, I saw this like shadow casting through my doorway. And he was, "Hey, are you Coach Dolbin?" I said, "Well, I'm Professor Dolbin." And I go, "I think you're at the wrong school. Aren't you going up to Penn State?" Because he's so huge, And he became an art major. He was a really talented kid. Wow. And that was a guy that he's such a character. That would be a guy you could maybe get on the podcast. He's a funny guy. And then Zabatiki, Ryan Dickey, he was in my sculpture class along with Oster Gaslab and Andy Engelbert. Those guys, man, they did a great job. And I'll tell you what, you need some big, strong guys to help you in sculpture class. And that was the best semester I ever had. Maybe if I had more guys like that, I wouldn't have retired. But but great students. Yeah, and all the other students I've had over the years, from a lot of athletes. Mm-hmm. And Rob, when I was at Cedar Cliff, that was really neat because so many kids were like, "Hey, Coach Dolbin's the art teacher. It's okay to take art."
Yeah, it does. It opens doors.
That fear of being like too sensitive or whatever. Right. And I had a kid, Scott Hummel. I don't know. He was one of our quarterbacks.
Yeah, I remember that name.
Yeah, Scott Hummel, academically amazing kid. He went down to West Virginia and he played there. And then he's an artist now, and he's been a graphic designer for years and done all kinds of stuff. He lives out on the West Coast now. And, there are a number of kids like that. But that was a neat experience to be. And I taught at all different levels. I mean, I taught elementary school and middle school and then, but Cedar Cliff is close to my heart. Really is. Yeah.
Before we came on the air, I should probably give a little explanation. Before we came on the air, Steve and I came to the realization that he had been at Cedar Cliff a few years before me. And it was just, we connected real quick and we coached on the same staff and things like that, just a few years apart.
Oh, I know you guys want to talk about playing in the Pole region. Go ahead. Talk about the Pole region.
We realized we grew up 20 minutes away from each other up in the coal region. So this was kind of fun for me because we bonded just because of our upbringing and where we taught and stuff like that.
But Cedar Cliff, really great place. I mean, it just was really wonderful. We had a heck of they had a hell of an art department.
They did, yes. Actually, one of my best friends when I taught there was the head of the department.
We had so many facilities. And this is really funny, Rob. So, a lot of the kids at Cedar Cliff, came from kind of, upper middle class, definitely. Mm-hmm. And I'm driving my old beat up jalopy into the parking lot. I'm like, man, these kids have got better cars than Yeah, it was. But it was a great experience. And Coach Craig was something, though. He had to run everything. It was really tough. I remember one time he was mad at me and he put me up, and I was the line coach, defense and offense. He put me up in the press box, because he got ticked at me for something, and I'm like, I'm worthless up here. And the kids are standing around looking for me like, oh, what do we do?
Hey, Steve, I want to wrap it up, man. Anything else you want to touch on before we go?
No, I just think that what the Red Raiders for Life, what everybody's doing, and you guys especially, this is really what a tremendous idea to have this. I watch all of them, and of course, I know these guys. Some of the older players I know.
Yeah.
So it's just great. Yeah, I think it's really great, and thank you so much for the opportunity because, it's kind of like there's so much having grown up with this whole thing, and then it was all meant to be. I mean, the fact that I came back as a player, and then I stayed and played in '81, which is just one of the. I just look at that experience as the older I get, the more I cherish it. I swear, and to be able to give back to the university, my whole family, and I never really thought that I would come back, but here I am, taught for 25 years, and here I am, and I'm still here.
Still here. Yeah, but congratulations on a great career, athletically, professionally, all that. Really pretty cool story, really.
Thank you so much. And I have lots of projects in my studio that are waiting. I'm making a big giant mascot piece for an unnamed high school in a different part of the PA, and so I'm still working. We'll see how long.
Good. Well, just so it's not a hippo. I don't want to see any more hippos.
Yeah, no hippos.
Oh no. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't
do that. All right, man. Well, thanks a lot, Steve. It's great seeing you. And Rob, thanks for you being here as always.
Absolutely, Steve. Great talking to you. Love catching up. Yeah, that was good. That was fun.
Okay. Colts, right? Cedar Cliff Colts.
There you go.
Okay. Bye-bye, guys.
See you, buddy.
Thanks, Steve.